about CSS, right? What can we do with CSS?
Style
things.
Color. Style colors, what was that?
There's some style things.
Yeah, style things like borders, colors, paints, blues, reds. We can put a background in it. We can use it to lay out our page, Flexbox, all that other really cool stuff, right? Well, we can do actually a lot more than that. We know that it's 2019, right? Shocker. The primary computing device of 2019 is the mobile phone, right? We know that websites are primarily viewed on a mobile device. That means whenever we make a new website, we need to keep that in mind. And that's really where mobile-first design comes into play. So before we kind of talk about mobile-first design, let's talk about what is design. Because this really is a pit stop on learning to be a good front-end developer, kind of learning about all of this stuff is like, what is design? I don't expect people to be designers, to be artistic, to actually know what's going on, but just know enough that whenever you start building your first website, you start building your second or third website, you make it not look like a pile of crap. Let's just be honest. So design is all about, it's not about the colors, it's not about like which shade of green is with which shade of blue or anything like that. Design is about how the app looks and feels. So buttons are in a good spot, that doesn't break, pictures aren't skewed a lot, it actually looks good for the screen size that we have. And really what that means for us, since it is 2019 and here we have smart computers in our pockets, we can talk about a mobile-first design. A mobile-first design says that we are designing our websites primarily for a mobile device. So a lot of people think, oh, that just means I need to worry about what's the latest resolution for an iPhone, or what's the latest resolution for a Samsung. It's actually a bit more than that. Because the principles behind a good mobile-first design idea is that you're taking your app and refining the idea so it fits down on a screen that's about the size of the palm of your hand. It doesn't matter what the exact specifics are, but it's all about, can I refine my idea and really get the point across in a 3x5 note card? And that's it. So what does this mean? What do we gain from this idea? Why do we care? Well, focused user experience, right? You don't have a crazy menu bar, because I'm sure we've all used the internal apps that have like 20,000 toolbars and 20,000 extensions, 10 nested deep menus. You got to click here, click here, click here, click here, and they're just unusable on a mobile phone. You're all smiling and laughing at this, so you know what I'm talking about.
I literally will not purchase products if it takes me that long to find it.
Exactly.
I just go next.
Yep. So it refines the user experience. It makes it easier. Mobile-friendly web pages, odds are you're going to be viewing your web pages and showing off your web pages to friends on your phones, right? Have you tried that yet? Like, look what I built in this class. It's on my phone. Ugh. The daily kidding does not look good on a mobile device, does it? It doesn't, because it's not a mobile-first design. It's a good way for us to practice CSS, but it's not a good way to practice CSS in 2019. We need to grow our skills. Oh, well today, the last point before we hop, better desktop experience. As we know, it's easier to blow up a site than it is to blow down a site. That site with 3,000 features on it, right? It's hard for it to fill a screen this big. If I have a screen this big, I could put my content on a screen this big, and it still looks good. It doesn't matter. So what does this mean for us? Well, how do we do this? Let's create a quick mobile UI. Tonight, over the course of the next 2 hours, we're going to build a Star Wars fan page. I love Star Wars. We're going to celebrate my 3 favorite characters, at least 3 of my favorite characters. But I want to make a page that says, hey, here's my characters, here's their role in the film, here's what they do, kind of celebrate them. So let's create a mobile-first wireframe and a mobile-first UI. One thing I do whenever I code is to start drawing things out. I don't care whether it's a whiteboard, a sheet of paper, or paint, sketch, notepad, chalkboard, something draw it out. I like stuff. So we're going to do this together. Don't follow along. We're going to do it up here on the whiteboard.
Also scary.
Very scary, right? We're going to be designers for the next 10 minutes. Ooh, nuts. So here we are. I'm going to build out my phone. Can you see that in the back? Is that all legible in the back?
That's good enough.
Cool. So Star Wars fan page, relatively simple, right? I'm going to have big old header, Star Wars. Nothing too crazy. And I'm going to show off my favorite characters. So I'm going to have pictures, people, plus name, plus role, and maybe some fun fact. Nothing too crazy, right? And now we're going to repeat this 3 or 4 times, one for each character. Anything groundbreaking? Probably not, right? So that's fun. So now that's really good for a mobile device, but as you can imagine, if we blow this up to a desktop screen, that'll look pretty weird, right? Why do I have one picture that takes up the entire screen? Right? So now let's create a desktop UI. Let's do the other half of that. Right? So in the other half, if I go to my desktop, let me grab a separate color. Can you see the red?
Yeah.
Cool. So on my desktop UI, I still want a header, Star Wars. Right? But I don't want my card, my person card, to take up the entire width of the screen. Maybe I want it stacked 2 by 2, a 2-column layout, right? That's reasonable. A big screen. And maybe instead of up and down, I want it side by side. So here's my picture, my person, with the name, role, and the mother. What do we notice about these 2 wireframes?
One's oriented toward columns and one's oriented toward rows.
Yeah, so the layout is different. So that means the CSS is going to be different, right? But we also notice the content is exactly the same, right? So let's use a technique that allows us to dynamically apply our style sheet based on the page size. That's where media queries come into play. Media queries allow us to put sections inside of our CSS that say, hey, once my screen reaches these conditions, then apply the CSS.
If then.
Yeah, it's pretty much an if-then. It's not going to look like an if-then, like traditionally if you're familiar with if-thens in JavaScript or any other cool language. But it's going to have that kind of logic built in. So are we ready? How are we feeling so far? My voice, I'm getting over a cold right now.
Oh, jeez.
So I've had a sore throat for the past 4 days, and I had to teach for the past 4 days. So my throat's raw like a steak on a Saturday afternoon. So here we are, media queries. Let's check out a quick code sample. Here's some CSS, all right? Nothing too crazy, right? What is it? We have an H1 that has a border of 1 pixel solid green. Right? That means, hey, anytime I have an H1, give it a border with 1 pixel solid green. Shouldn't feel scary, right? Should feel normal. Feel used to this by now. But on a big screen, here's our first instance of a media query. That's the syntax. It says when our media is bigger than 600 pixels, so when the min width is bigger than 600 pixels, the minimum width of the screen, apply this stuff. It's backwards, huh?
I have a question. Is that why all the screens now are flashing when you try to load a website? They flash something that's crazy first and then it scales?
Potentially, yeah.
Because the default is set for phones?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. They're doing some really cool CSS tricks and JavaScript magic to go, what's my screen size? How do I lay things out? What's the best layout for the screen? Because this is simple. These get crazy complex fast. But this is really our basics. How are we feeling? Slush, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So there's a space.
Yep.
It says on big screens there's a space between that asterisk on the small but not on the big.
Oh, that's just bad.
Okay. Which one is it?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It should be whatever your VS Code tells you it is, which will end up being the top one.
Okay, it's the top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So that's kind of trivial, right? We're just changing colors whenever we change the screen size. Whoa. Nothing like we have to do over there. But what we can do stuff like this. We can say, hey, on a small screen, we want to display flex everything. justify it to the center and make it a column. Something like this, right? But then once we get to a bigger screen, I want to, you know what? I don't want to make it a column. I want to make it a row. And I don't want them to be centered anymore. I want them to be spaced around. So now I can have these breakpoints built into my CSS that help control the flow and look and feel of my page. Cool. Let's actually see some code now. Let's actually put this in action.
What does the at media do?
The at media, we head back to where it is. This says, hey, we're going to be doing some conditional logic based on the screen.
Okay.
Because not only can we do like screen size, like width, we can do height as well. We can also do, is the device in portrait or landscape? We can also do, is it a print option? Is it a no screen? There's like a whole bunch of other conditionals we can put there.
Okay.
This just says, look at the current media. Does it satisfy this condition? If it does, apply the CSS. That's all.
Cool. And you want it on the second, you want it on the big screen option, right?
Yeah, that's a really great observation. Is that we have min width for both of these examples. There's also something called max width that we could have there instead. Saying, hey, on small screens, apply this CSS. So not only can we say, hey, when we get to a big screen, apply this, we can make our default the big screen and then change it for a little screen. But we like mobile first here. So we're saying our CSS should be primed and ready for a small screen. And then make these tweaks for a big screen. How's that sit? Sitting pretty? Warm and fuzzy?
Warm and
Cold or wet? Awesome. So let's actually code something up here. Now, just a reminder, don't follow along with me as I code. I'd rather you be here, take notes, ask questions, and be interactive. So that being said, here we are. Not there, but there. I'm going to make a new Star Wars application. I'm going to use app. I've already navigated here using CD and LS. You've seen some other codes as well. Nothing too crazy. App Star Wars, because I'm going to make a new Star Wars fan page. Alpha Stack, Star Wars, I do not.
Oh, I thought those were slides. Now I realize you're actually in terminal.
Oh, they are slides.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I like PowerPoints, because PowerPoints are awesome.
very cool.
But very minimal PowerPoints. To me, that's a good PowerPoint presentation. I don't want to bore you with walls of text. Unless I want to bore you with walls of text to make a point. So I'm going to CD into it. I'm going to open it up in VS Code using code dot. Right? You've all done this a couple times already. And then I'm going to start it with yarn start. Here we are. Star Wars, hello world. Love it. So now, the first part, after you're a wireframe, the first actual coding part of any sort of project is to say what the HTML is. We have a wireframe, we have markers, let's mark it up. So, what HTML do we see here?
Header.
We have a header. Good. That's not a good color. Nope.
Can't see that.
We have a header here. All right. I know it's chicken scratch, but I can read. That's all that matters. We have a header here. What else do we have?
H1.
As this right here. H1. Cool. What else do we have? There's almost no wrong answers here.
Body.
We have a body, which is probably going to wrap the entire thing. How about this thing right here?
Put a wrapper around it, right?
Yeah, some wrapper around the content.
The
Right?
main content, yeah.
Main. That's a good word. Right? How about each one of these? Maybe a section? This, an image tag, of course, right? These ones would be H2s, maybe a P tag. Do you have a preference?
Caption.
H2.
H2, role, H2 as well, and this fun fact will make it a P tag. How's that sound? Could I do this with completely different tags? Totally. So, if I go back to when I built this last time, would it be completely different? Probably. But it's still going to work. It's still going to be valid HTML, and it's still going to be semantically close enough to be accurate. How's that sit? So let's code this up. We're going to head into public HTML. Can you see that in the back?
Yes.
Cool. In the front, can you see that too? All right. So let's code up some content here. Star Wars. That is going to be inside of our header.
How'd you do that?
How'd you drag and drop that?
How did I move it?
Control.
If I ever see do keyboard shortcuts that you don't know, just let me know, like that. Alt, and I'm on a line, allows me to move it up and down. Alt.
Well,
Alt, and then the up and down arrow.
arrows.
Yeah.
Cool. Because that was like 6 clicks away from me doing the same
Oh, yeah.
thing.
There's a lot of power here, and the reason why we don't give you like a crash course of like, here's all the 1,000 commands you're going to use in VS Code. You're not going to remember any of them. So it's like, as you see us code, we'll start doing more and more keyboard shortcuts to be like, oh, you can do that? That helps. That's cool. So our content, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start building out the content. Even though we know we're going to have multiple people here on our fan page, right? I'm going to build out and make sure that one looks right. My one looks right, I mean looks right on a mobile device. Because mobile first. Yay, responsive. So as we said, we're going to use a main tag, right? And it's going to have a section inside of that. Inside of that section, we're going to have an image tag that has a source. We'll get back to this in a second. Alt. This is a cool person. We'll fill that in with more meaningful data here in a second. We're going to have a name here, which we said was an H2. Jane Smith. Not a real Star Wars character, I don't think. H2. We had role. Ace pilot. And we have a P tag of Jane likes long walks on the beach of Endor. Cool. That's one thing, right? That's one thing that we're going to repeat a whole bunch of times. I'm not going to repeat it a whole bunch of times yet, because we don't know what the finished HTML is going to be like. We've designed out our HTML. We think we know what it is, right? We're pretty confident. But as we kind of are probably experiencing with Flexbox, there might be some sneaky parent, some sneaky containers we have to add later to make things work perfectly. So I'm going to get one laid out perfectly. Let's see what this looks like. Hey, love it. Let's add some pictures here. I'm not going to use them from the internet. I pre-picked some pictures for us. I'm going to use them for my local device. I know we talked about it on Tuesday a little bit at the tail end of how to use images inside your website. I want to do it again for y'all just so we see what it looks like. I'm going to add inside of my public folder a new folder called images. It's always a good thing to be keep your program a little bit clean, a little bit organized. All images should go into an images folder. Liz said that assets, that's also a very common word. Assets also implies we have other things like maybe media, videos, maybe custom fonts, stuff like that. I like just starting off with just images. Personal preference. Liz is more of a front-end person. I'm more of a full-stack person, so it's just differences of opinions. I need some pictures. I know I got them around here somewhere. They are on my desktop. Then a folder called Star Wars. Now at this point, it's just file management. I guess it's nothing too crazy. I'm gonna take the pictures from wherever they are, downloads folder, a desktop, a camera, whatever, and I'm gonna move them to be inside of that public/images folder. So I'm gonna bring over Han, Leia, Luke. Any other ones? I think that's it. Yep, that's it. It's good enough for now. 3 is good. Luke, Han, and Leia. We all love Luke, Han, and Leia, right? The staples of the franchise. Here we are. Do you see that they're in our images folder now? If I wanted to use the first one, let's pick out Han. My source. I want to go, hey, look in the current directory, /, find me something called images, and inside of images, I want to say Han.
/ is current directory.
/ is current directory. And we have someone's beautiful mug now on my screen. Oh, Harrison Ford. Here we are. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Let's style this up a little bit. Style it mobile first, like always. Do we have any questions before I continue? Because that's pretty much our HTML is done. Check. At least for one.
2.
Yeah, right? It's nuts. So now, let's style this up. And since we're doing mobile first, and pretty much all of our web pages to be mobile first, I like to keep my inspector open at least halfway to see what's going on. There's also a really cool feature here. So see this thing right here? Toggle device toolbar. Looks like there's a little phone inside a tablet kind of thing. That's our mobile emulator. What it does, it will emulate the screen size of a mobile device. So I can head in here and say, you know what? What will this look like on an iPhone X? It'll give me its dimensions. This isn't a true simulator or emulator. It's just going, hey, iPhone X, its resolution, its size is 375 by 812. So it will give us a good rough estimate to when we look at it at a smaller screen, what it will actually look like. That's awesome. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but a good enough tools inside of Chrome. You have a question?
So I noticed that the code, when you inspect the elements on a web page, is a little bit different than the HTML itself. There's just a couple little parts of it that are different. Does it have a different name?
What are you talking about exactly?
Like the equals $0. Like, did you put that in there?
Equals dollar sign.
Image source, images, han.png, all this is cool.
Oh, this right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that is something that DevTools are giving you. That is just saying where you currently are right now.
Oh, okay.
I can click around and it's saying I'm on that line. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
There's a bit more stuff going on here. There's a lot of power here that we're not going to go over, but it's features like that that might crop up.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So let's make our stuff cool. So I want to center my Star Wars. I'm going to put it on a black background with gold text because that's what Star Wars does. Something's happening outside. Fire truck. Going that way. Anyways, I want to, that's going to be a CSS thing, right? If I'm going to make it a black background with a colored yellow header, probably my header, background color black, H1, color yellow. That's all good? That's all good to start? At least a good starting place?
Header H1.
We could do a header H1, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't sure. That's what. Okay.
Yeah, it's that's what we're styling. So our selectors, header, as well as header.h1. So this is going to give me that whole top row. This is going to say, hey, everything that's on the top row is going to be background color black. if there's any H1 inside of that, make it yellow. Forgot his face. It's close. It's close. Want to make it a bit fatter, top and bottom right, make it a bit taller, and we want to center it. We could center it with probably text align center, or we can style it, or we can center it with Flexbox. Which one would you rather do? There's no wrong answer.
Flexbox.
Flexbox, yeah, let's do Flexbox. So I want to make this, since we want to flex that H1, right? That's what we actually want to position. We want to take that H1 and put it in the center of my page. That means that I need to display flex the parent, and my parent needs to tell my child, hey, go in the middle. So its immediate parent is the header tag.
So say that last part again, I'm sorry, I feel like it was important.
Yeah, so it probably was. It was if I want to center my H1 tag, right? So in order for me to use Flexbox to style my H1 tag, I need to go to its immediate parent, and then my immediate parent will tell its children to where to go.
Okay.
So the immediate parent of my H1 tag is my
Header.
tag. So I need to put display flex on my header, and probably use, do you know which Flexbox property?
Justify content.
Justify content. Yeah. We want to say, take our content and throw it into the center. So display flex, justify content center. Bam! Star Wars. In your face. I want to make that a wee bit bigger, because Star Wars is known for their fanfare. You know, kind of thing. So I want to make it bigger and in your face. I want to increase its font size. So font size. So we used pixels on Tuesday, right? Pixels are a really good static dimension for anything on the web. I used a very specific word there, static, right? We know that phones, screens, and computers have multiple resolutions. Whether it's between portrait and landscape, top and bottom, mobile to laptops, to big screens, to projectors, multiple things. Pixels are very constant. There's something that we can use to actually accommodate the dynamic resolutions of screen size. It's something called REMs. REMs. So I'm going to use 3 REMs. So what does that mean? I just made up a label out of thin air, right? Whee! So REMs stands for relative ends. Well, it doesn't really help me much. Relative ends.
Say again.
Relative ends. Relatives EM. Okay.
Relative elements?
No.
Oh.
Close. It does stand for relative. But what the M part is, the EM? The EM is a unit of measurement based off of one letter M. Literally one M. Like M as in mom. Why? Because it's the widest letter in the alphabet. That or W. But no one wants to say one W. Yeah. So we're like, hey, let's base all of our pixel, all of our size, based on one spacing of a character. Widest character being an M. So we're saying our font size here is 3 letters big. Where are we defining how big is a letter? See the thing up at the very top, the root? Is it on screen? It's not on screen. The root? That's how big the font is on the whole page. So by default, my font is 16 pixels. So my header is going to be 3 times that. So it's 3 times 16.
48.
48. I probably would have gone with the first number someone said, because I was trying to do the math in my head as we went. But yeah, 48, right? So my font size, each character is going to be 48 pixels big. So it's all based on what's on top. And the browser can override that. That's us giving a preference to what we want our default font size to be. So what we can do in order to accommodate the plethora of screen sizes is if we make all of our dimensions based off of rems instead of pixels, our entire set will grow and shrink with the screen.
So,
Yeah, right? Makes my life as a web developer
and
so
it's
much easier.
3 rem.
3 rem, it's going to make it 3 times as big, roughly. Yes.
So does that also hold true if you're doing like padding and borders and blah, blah, blah?
Padding, margin, borders, all that stuff can be defined in rems instead of pixels. I know. Mouth drop. Amazing. But yeah, it's these flexible tools that allow us to actually dictate what's going on. And it's awesome. We happy with this, the header? At least for now. We can go back and clean up later. This thing. Whew.
It's a little big.
It's real big.
Yeah, I like them, but not that much. What time is it? 7:05. All right. So let's style up this thing. I'm going to give this section a class. I'm going to call it character card. Now, we haven't really used classes much, right? We try to use tags. I also like to use classes to help give my code a little bit more semantic meaning to it. You notice what's not here? Divs, right? Divs are absent in this. Sections, that's a great word. It's a section of my page. It's a bit more meaningful than div, but it still can be studied generic. Hi, Liz. So I'm going to add a class here so I can target it, as well to give my code a little bit more meaning to other developers. Saying, hey, here's one of my character codes. So all my code is going to be for a character is going to be inside of here. I can also target it with CSS now. So I want to say, my first thing that I'm targeting here is that image. It's huge. I don't want it to be that big. Big. So I'm going to say, hey, character card, image, I want your width to be 100%. And that width 100% is saying, hey, whatever my parent container is, take up 100% of that width, so expand out as wide as I can. You notice I left off height, right? Height will default to auto. It will automatically do its thing. Can I send it an automatic height here as well? I could. If I want to set it to a height of 40 rems, something huge, it'll do it, and it'll stretch out the picture. That's the danger. I typically like to set the width, and that's it, and let it auto kind of do its thing.
So if you set the width at 100% instead of giving exact dimensions of it, no matter what screen you put it on, it's just going to automatically do it, no matter which device.
Yeah,
you pick up.
so if I switch it from back to responsive and actually play with it a little bit, it's always going to be 100%.
Okay.
But it's always going to do its best to do 40 rems tall.
So that's based on the relative aspect ratio of the image versus
Yeah,
the screen.
because every image has a built-in size. It's how many pixels by how many pixels, right? So it's just saying, you know what? We're going to expand this, do some math to figure out how tall it should be. And if the images are skewed and really weird, you might want to get better images. Work with your designers and your front-end developers and your image manipulators to actually get that done.
Did you call the class character card?
That is the class on my section.
Okay.
So my selector here, I'll pull these up side by side, is saying, hey, go to something called character card that has a class. It doesn't matter what it is. Inside of it, any images that exist will have a width of 100%.
Oh, okay, that's what image is there, okay.
Yep.
Is that what the period is, the selector?
The space right here. But yeah, this period, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this says finding something that's with the class of that. If there's no period, like here up on our header, it's a tag selector. This is targeting all my headers. This is finding something that has a class of that name.
And then ID is hash, right?
Correct.
Or that can-
The octaform. So here we are. I want to give a little bit of probably space around the outside. So on my character card, space on the outside is
Margin.
margin, 1 rem as well. There we go. Let's give you a border real fast, 3 pixels, solid gray. What's someone's favorite color? Favorite color? Green. Thank you. Yeah, we'll do greeny yellow. Just to give it a little bit of thing. Just so you see what's going on here. This probably look like a gaudy 80s site when we're done, but I'm totally fine with
Matches the hairdo.
that. Yeah, it does. Really in the same vein. What else do we want to do? Anything else? Anything crazy? At least not yet.
So margins are on the text, or
Oh, yeah, like
so it's against the border.
down here. Yeah, sure. So what do we want to select here?
To,
So we want to put spacing around these ones right here. Right?
so you could make a selector that says you could do section and then put the H2 and the P all in one selector, so we'll do all of them.
We can. With CSS, we can also select multiple things. So we can say, hey, you know what? Inside of my character card, find me all H2s, comma, as well as all my character cards, the P tag inside of my characters card. Give them padding of 1 rems. So we're targeting any H2s as well as any Ps. And they're both going to get the exact same style. It's cool for stuff like this, where you have multiple elements that need the same styling. Kind of help reduce redundancy a little bit.
Could you do the same with, could you say section instead of character card too? Would that work at the same time?
Class, yes, no? Do you think that this would still work? Instead of character card, if we use section here.
So you would have to do comma and then section again. Yeah, it should. Yes.
It should. It'll still target the exact same thing.
Okay, cool.
But the only thing is, if you have multiple sections, you're gonna have to. If you want them to be different, you're gonna have to go back and put classes on each one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this more tightly couples our CSS to our HTML, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We say, I've probably said it already, we want to keep our HTML and CSS as separate as possible. In real life, they're not that separate. Ideally, of course, but realistically, not really. So yeah, that would work. Is it the best?
Got you, thank you.
So a little bit of padding. I don't like that top and bottom padding. It spaced it in, which was perfect, but it also spaced it out. Not perfect. So let's just do padding left and padding right. And let's add a different color other than white there for the background. On the character card background color, what's someone's favorite color that's not green?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Sorry.
Let's do, what's a good yellow color?
Think like goldenrod.
Yep. G is a good color. Goldenrod. Pretty.
Oh yeah, babies.
It goes with it.
It does. Okay. Feeling good so far. Let's add the other ones now. All right, we have Luke and Leia, right? Let's chain this up. Han Solo. Han Solo. Han shot first. copy and paste. Images Luke. Luke Skywalker. Jedi Knight. Had a farmer that did the thing. We have Leia. Leia's last name is Organa, right?
Organa, yep.
I always think it's oregano, but I know that's not right. Princess. What is she? She is.
She's been donuts for years.
She does. She has donuts for ears. Claim to fame, an awesome haircut. So here we have our 3 cards. And that looks good. This is a great mobile first UI. I expect to see something like this on my mobile phone, right? If I go to a website, yeah, that's fine. Nothing too nuts. Cool. It is 7:15. I want to take a break early tonight so we can hit media queries in the second half of our lecture hard. So let's take a quick 15-minute break, 10-minute break. Come back here at 7:25 and let's hit media queries.
Enjoy